Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for tuning back in. Glad you can make it. Hopefully, you're doing good and having a great day. So, today we're talking about choosing your battles and choosing them carefully. I have a couple of stories to share with you. Ask yourself, how many times have we found ourselves in a situation where we think back after what had happened and we're like, why in the fuck did I do that? You know, um, when we choose to do something and then we later have more, I guess, hindsight, right? After the thought, and we regret the actions that we took, whether in an emotional state. And it's typically in an emotional state usually. Um, and so I can think of quite a few, right? Quite a few battles that I had decided to engage in that I really shouldn't have. Um, really had no need being there, doing it. And so I've got a few, um, and I'll start with the relationships. For for my guys, listen, boys, you absolutely, out of anyone else, women or children, you have to choose your battles the most careful. And I say that because obviously, as I said throughout the whole channel here on the home turf, I've said that men are the heads of household, right? Um, and we have to be the example, right? We have to choose the direction that are not just for ourselves but for the family as well. And so if we can't pick our battles carefully, we're just reacting emotionally to everything, right? And how can someone really follow that? It's not really a leader, right? And so because a general doesn't go out and start battles for no reason. He doesn't go and invade countries, right? For America. Anyways, a general just doesn't go, right. A good general doesn't just go and invade countries, right, for no reason. Um, and so don't go and pick battles with people, especially in your own family, if it is not needed. Now, there are some times when you are going to have to battle, right? Um, but it's not necessarily in a negative connotation. You understand. Um, but ultimately, it is something where you are protecting your own respect. Um, Women will test you. That's just how they are. It's their nature, right? They want to be sure 24/7 that you are capable of leading them, right? And so when it comes to their testing, right, at that point you do go to battle there. Okay. Um, and there's a few scenarios that I could give you to go with that, right? And one of those would be, um, asking you where to go, right? When it comes to dinner, um, asking you what you think for planning, right? Maybe a weekend getaway or something like that. Um, Maybe it's a question about bills, or maybe it's about anything else, right? But those are just some scenarios that I can really give you right off the bat that traditional women, respectful women, um, are not going to be so confrontational, right? They're going to challenge, right? But they're not going to challenge in a disrespectful way. Um, Now, if you have a woman that is being confrontational and disrespectful, that point in time, right, that's also another point of battle too. You are battling your self-respect, but you're battling your self-respect ultimately, um, right, to leave the relationship. You're not engaging, right, in that confrontation. What you're doing is it's another strategy. You are, um, I guess you could say, pulling out, maybe not retreating, right? But you're pulling out, and you're, putting forces somewhere else, right? Um, Essentially taking your self-respect, right, and going somewhere else with it, right? Going where you're appreciated. Um, and so, because there's not a battle that is ultimately worth winning at that point. Um, and so that's why you take, your forces to somewhere else. Um, so, and for my ladies, look, you absolutely must be respectful. Now, sometimes your guy does need a kick in the pants. That's true, right? But also, you have to keep in mind too is that this kick in the pants should come from their friends, right? Their boys or their dad, right? Another male figure that they trust. Okay, so it shouldn't be coming from you at all. But, right, where a man kind of falls short, right? This is why men all must always stay on his A game. That's just how it is, right? You must always stay on your A game. And the very second that you start to slip, right, is typically when women will give you a kick in the pants, right? Because they're expecting you to take care of things, and if you're not taking care of things, that's when the disrespect really begins to start. um, or that's when the challenging really starts. It's not necessarily nefarious, right? But um, it can seem that way because we perceive it in such a way as men. um, Now, obviously, but this is that's if she's being confrontational, that's where I'm going back to the woman that's not worth it. Uh, but yeah. So also for my ladies as well, this is why I mentioned sexless marriages, just sexless relationships, anyways, right? Um, your duty, right, is to give your body to your man and vice versa. When you're in a committed relationship, you vow with each other, right, to become one person or one unit, one team. And if you're not taking a part of the overall intimacy with that person, right, because of a choice not to, right, you are essentially betraying that. And so, you know, um, picking and choosing your battles goes into a lot of different things, right? It could go into eating, it can go into working, it can go into time spent with friends, with girlfriends, with your boys, with all kinds of things, man. Um, and so it's not just particularly a part of relationships. Um, the point of choosing your battles carefully is ultimately to benefit you and possibly other people. Men, I tell you, because it's not just you that you're affecting, right? When you're choosing your battles, because you're responsible not only for yourself, um, and for my ladies out there, if he, if you need help with something around the house, um, don't just pick fights, right? Because something, hasn't been done in, a couple of hours, right? Things will get done if he's the guy that takes care of things, right? It will get done, right? But then again, if you know that, you're not really gonna be picking a fight with him anyways. So, um, but I mention that because a lot of women will pick fights that they really shouldn't pick fights for the reason of, something not being done. Uh, but then again, if this is a guy that is taking care of things, you really shouldn't be picking fights with him anyways. But just so I'm not being redundant here, um, to move on to the stories here. Uh, I was recently in college. I dropped out a little bit ago for mental health reasons, but I remember showing up to class. This was about 8 o'clock in the morning for Chem one, and I sat right next to this chick, and she was talking about this wild weekend that she had with drinking and partying and all that, and I'm like, really? You couldn't have done anything else?" I said, "Dude, that's fucking lame, man. That's fucking boring." Um, and that turned into a little bit of a disagreement. Now, um, that battle wasn't really necessary at all because they're college kids. You know, they're college kids. They are going to act a certain way. Obviously, unfortunately, partying and drinking, and I've seen drugs as well. That's just a part of the culture in college, and so kind of bucking the trend is only gonna come back to you and bite you in the ass, right? Um, it's not that you're just not voicing your opinions or anything like that, but you're not you're not partaking in things that are giving you undue stress, right? And unnecessary conflict. So didn't really need to do that. That's so hopefully you learn from that mistake. Um I don't really engage so much with people, out in public anymore when it comes to differences like that. I just get it's I have this, and I can voice my opinions. I can voice, my side of things here, right? And there are so many people that will listen. And so there's not really any need. Now, if someone needs information, obviously, right? But ultimately, there's a battle to be fought, and there's a battle to, fight another day. Um, and it all goes back to, redirecting your forces, right? Um, and like I said, it can be anything: politics, romantic relationships, friendships, family. And unfortunately, a lot of these days, politics is way too involved in family. Um, People are actively splitting up, right? Families are being torn apart because of politics. I remember just yeah, it was last November. People were just not showing up to Thanksgiving, right? They were actively abandoning their family because of their political leanings. Now, this was coming from the left, but um at the same time, you know, those are battles that's you really shouldn't fight, right? Because it's against your family. Now, I understand if your family is doing the same thing and fighting battles with you that they shouldn't, right? Ultimately disrespecting you, but you shouldn't be actively tearing apart your family just because they disagree politically. Um so there are a lot there are a lot of um fights to be had, and that you should be very careful because there are fights to protect you and there are fights that will destroy you, right? And so we have to be very careful when we choose these things. Obviously, if you're fighting for a relationship that you really shouldn't be fighting for, right? A lot of people have problems with that. Um, there is a huge problem when it comes to toxicity for, I mean, in any relationship today, but especially romantic ones. And oftentimes, um, we quote unquote fight for the relationship. Here's the thing: is that if you are fighting someone that you're in a relationship with for the relationship, there's already a problem there, right? And so there's no point. There's no point. There's no battle to be had there, right? I mean, for first of all, you shouldn't be fighting. Again, you shouldn't be fighting with someone you're in a relationship, anyways, right? Um, but there are instances where you have to correct you know your significant other, right, or someone you're in a relationship with. That makes sense. uh but you shouldn't actively fight for something if it's not worth it to begin with. um and so you know uh don't go and picking fights with people uh, that you should not be doing in the first place, right? Because that's how people get stabbed. Right? It's ultimately about self-respect and safety, right? You don't want to put yourself in a situation that's not going to benefit you. I mean, overall, right? Um, Sometimes braving the fight is something that you must do to benefit yourself. Like putting up a lawsuit against an MLM. That's that's a good battle to be had, right? Um, yeah, there's all kinds of examples for this, man. There really is, and we could spend hours talking about it. But most people don't have hours, and I don't have hours. So, um, and my dog's looking at me like, you only got minutes. I need to go outside. So, oh, I said the forbidden word. But that's pretty much gonna wrap things up now. Today, um, I don't think it was exactly so informative, but hopefully you guys got something from it. Um, just remember, right? If you take anything from this video, fight for your safety, fight for your self-respect, right? Safety, I mean, for your mental health, right? For your physical health, right? And for your self-respect, right? For your respect of your time, your resources, and ultimately your morals and values. And so that is something that you should absolutely value above anything else. Okay. Now, again, there are dynamics that work. Okay. Um, there's no such thing as egalitarianism. That doesn't exist. The reason that doesn't exist is because there's no such thing as equality, right? Um, there will always be a man that's stronger than another man, okay? And men will always run societies. Uh, that's just that's just how things are, right? But women will also be held above, right, men intrinsically and value simply on the virtue of being able to bear children. And so there's no such thing as equality, and there never will be. Listen, we are animals, okay? Just like any other animal kingdom out there, we have a hierarchy. And so, right, but within that hierarchy, there are battles to be had to maintain it, right? Well, for one, to establish it, and then also to maintain it, right? And those are ongoing battles too. But um, to maintain it, we have to choose our battles carefully. Okay. Ultimately, respecting ourselves and sometimes respecting others as well by defending their honor. Right. So that's going to go ahead and wrap it up, guys. Um, um, you know how I like to rant on. So hopefully this video was able to help you out. And if it is, that's great. Please consider, like, sharing, and subscribing. Um, I especially sharing, please, because I really want to spread this message as far and as wide as possible. I want the family to continue to grow, and I want to see this culture really change. Right? We all know that this culture is way too toxic. We're way too tribalistic today, and all of us are anxious. We're frustrated. We don't know what we want. We're not taught what in anything, right? Um, and so I don't have it all figured out. I've never claimed that I do, and I never claim that I will. Um, but it's the reason for the creation of the home turf here. Is to provide a place where we all can come together and figure it out, right? So let me know what you guys think. I would love to hear what your thoughts are, and I'd love to hear what your experiences are, what you've learned, what you take away from this video. Um, and let's start a conversation. Let's talk about it. So um, I I read the comments. I respond to the comments as much as I can. Uh, and so I appreciate all of you that have engaged so much. You guys are you guys are killing. You guys are rock stars. Um, I want to say again that we just hit 250 subscribers. So that's awesome. And I appreciate you all so, so, so much. Thank you so much for sharing, for engaging with the channel, um, and really helping to grow this. And I really hope that what I'm doing here is really helping and changing lives for the better. Because where we can change one life, right, for the better, that that life then can change another one, and then another one, and another one, and before we know it, right, culture has changed. And so um, let's go ahead, let's try the best that we can to start that, excuse me, that domino effect. So um, again, I hope this video helped you out. And if it did, please let me know, because that'd be great. I love hearing it. I really do. It makes my day. So that being said, guys, just so I don't keep rambling on here, make sure you are taking care of yourselves, okay, both mind and body. If I did mention it earlier, the 30-day challenge started today. Um, I did chest day. Yep, chest was today. And boy, am I beat. I'm beat. So, but it feels good. It really does. It really does. I'm excited for the challenge, and I'm excited to see the results at the end of the at the end of the day 30. And so I'll be posting that again. So um, if you guys want to join me on it, I'd be more than happy, to have you along for the ride, because it is day one. It's day one, and so ready to get back at it. And I would love to have you guys join me. So, but um, get active of some kind. Do you have to go to the gym? Not necessarily, but get active, right? Um, as a man, you must be physically fit, right? Because not only do you have to defend yourself, right, but you're also responsible for those of you who are in relationships, which is actually which is actually definitely shrinking today. But for those of you who are, you also have to defend your woman. You also have to defend your kid if you have one. Um, but and likewise, ladies, look, you've got to stay fit too. Okay. Beauty is one of the most valuable. I don't want to say traits, but beauty beauty women's value is really tied to their youth, their beauty, right? And so you want to make sure you keep that up. Now, youth because right, your ability to carry children, and then beauty, right? Because men love with their eyes. And so um well, we love with our eyes first. But that's anybody. Yeah, honestly, that's anybody. So, but uh, it is good to stay healthy because where you are healthy, you can bear healthy children, right? And so that's just science, bro. And it's obvious science too. Um, because a lot of diseases are passed down, right? The diabetes that's passed down. I'm supposed to be getting diabetes because my grandmother has diabetes and it skips a generation. Um, but anyways, anyways, and it's not just people who are unfit who get diabetes, right? Sometimes you really get the shit out of the stick when it comes to gene pool, but it is what it is. But everyone should go and stay fit, get fit and stay fit. Um, but also with the mind too, right? If you have to talk to somebody, please go talk to somebody. All right. Don't stuff things down inside. That's another thing with battles too. Don't battle yourself. All right. Do not ever battle yourself. Okay. The only thing you should be battling is those demons. That's it. Okay. So, and you can also get help. You can get reinforcements, man. You can get reinforcements. Absolutely. Friends, family, right? A good support network. Go and see a therapist if you need to see a therapist, man. So, you know, um, just go and talk to someone. And also, take care of each other too. If someone's calling you 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, there might be a reason why they're doing that, and they might need you, right? So pick up and ask them if they're okay. If they're okay, cool. Get back to them in the morning. But in my experience, there have been quite a few times where a couple of my friends were just fucking losing it, and they needed someone there. Uh, so it means a lot to someone when they are. So, um, but look after each other, okay? Especially in the comment section too, right? The reason why we're coming here is to become better. So, um, that being said, guys, I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you guys are engaged as much as you are, and that you are seeking help from me. It means a lot to me. It really does. I hope that I could help you in any way possible. Um, and so I'm going to keep this up for sure. This is only the beginning. I have so many stories to tell you, right? I have so much more to share with you, and hopefully to help you. So, that being said, stay tuned for the next video, guys, and I'll talk to you soon.